Alright, so before we begin this video, let's have a real talk time. Cooler Master's marketing team approached us with this new case they were developing and wanted us to review it. So we thought, sure, why not? We were expecting them to give us some long presentation and a PowerPoint with different things we had to highlight. But you know what? They didn't. They simply gave us two cases, two power supplies, and said, build something cool in this case. Here's some instructions and some key points. It's sort of the same thing. So here we go. This is the Cooler Master Master Case 5 and Pro 5. For the most part, they're pretty much the same case. And fundamentally, it's a mid-tower ATX case made of steel and plastic. So let's take a quick tour. On the front, you'll find a big mesh screen with fan filters. Moving up a bit, you'll find the I/O panel on the top corner, which is a novel idea. You can still access it from the front, but your cat can't press it from the top. Whoa! It's amazing. You'll find one of the first differences between the Pro and the non-Pro on the top, with the Pro version coming with a raised fan bracket, as well as an additional top mesh cover that supports either dual 120 or dual 140mm fans and helps relocate some of the stuff up and above the case so you have a bit better clearance with the motherboard. It does seem a bit unnecessary since they could have just made the overall case taller by adding an inch and accomplished the same thing. One thing we did really like were the two handles on top. They're mounted very sturdily to the chassis itself and offer great leverage for carrying the case around. The right side is plain as usual, while the left features a windowed side panel on the Pro version and a regular black steel panel for the non-Pro. We do like the fact that these side panels use a new clip design that's both stronger and much easier to slide on compared to traditional side panels. You sort of place the panel down, tilt it, then slide it on or off. It's not quite as good as a full hinge, but it's a step in the right direction. Since they let us pick our own power supplies, Anthony was like, well, I'd like a G750M and a V1200. I would have loved to have two V1200s, but I guess we're showing off two different tiers of products here, so sure, a 750 is fine. And as the numbers imply, the first is a 750-watt modular power supply rated at 80+ gold efficiency, while the second is a 1200-watt fully modular power supply with an 80+ platinum rating and 12 PCI Express 8-pin power connectors, just in case you had like 4 EVGA Kingpin video cards in quad slide. Anyway, since we can't do that because we don't have 4 Kingpin cards, instead, we built two different systems on sort of opposite ends of the spectrum in order to see what these cases are like to build in, depending on what the objective of your build is. How modular is it really? So Anthony completely gutted one of the case and put all the brackets and mounts and trays into the other. It was pretty simple since Cooler Master uses new standardized mounts for all of their cages. So here are the two systems that he ended up with. Let's start with the non-Pro case. Pretty standard stuff, kind of pretty high-end system designed for work and play. So inside, there's an Asus Z170 Deluxe motherboard, a Skylake Core i7 6700K processor, a Be Quiet Dark Rock 3 CPU cooler, 16 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 memory, an Asus Strix 970 graphics card, 2 HyperX SSDs, and 7 Western Digital Red hard drives. In the other system, we went for an extremely high-end, balls-to-the-wall type of build. It's got an Asus X99 Deluxe motherboard, an Intel Core i7 5960X Extreme Edition processor, 32 gigs of HyperX Predator DDR4 memory, the Asus Aries 3 graphics card hooked up to the new EK Predator 360 liquid CPU cooler, and 2 Intel 750 series NVMe drives that are just kind of showing off. Yes, it's overkill, but it does happen to be super minimalistic and shows off what we're excited for in the future. Very nice cable management. I don't know about you guys, but plugging in SSDs and hard drives, yeah, it's not tidy. So, I'm going to get PCI Express SSDs. So what did we learn from these two systems' construction? Well, they were a breeze to build. There's over an inch of space behind the motherboard tray, which makes routing cables very easy. If you're even lazier, you can just stuff cables into the bottom chamber since it's nicely hidden away by that mid plate. The grommet covers are a little stiff, but they stayed in place no matter how many cables Anthony crammed through them, which is definitely a plus. I remember particularly the Fractal Design Define R2, was one of those ones where the grommets were stiff, but they didn't have enough of a lip, so when you tried to push something through it, they just came out. Airflow, not a concern either, as there's a direct filter and intake in front and exhausts in both the top and rear. So with the fog test on both systems, as you can see, you shouldn't have any problems at all with cooling unless you start trying to cram 4 graphics cards in there or something, which you won't be able to, because unlike your typical full tower enthusiast case, the Master Case 5 only features 7 PCI slots. I guess the only major downside that Anthony found with this case was the power supply shroud. It's one of the few pieces that can't be removed, which could be a problem for modders or people looking to do a custom water cooling loop. There's only about 45 millimeters of space in the front, so fitting a 360 millimeter or 240 millimeter thick radiator would be difficult, which is to say it wouldn't go there. And it also eliminates the ability to put a really tall tube reservoir in the build. So overall, looks like a pretty good enthusiast and gaming case, easy to build in, fair amount of flexibility, and not that expensive. There are lots of ways to hide drives and cables, whether it's in the bottom in the front, in the top in the front, and behind cable management spaces we already talked about in the back. And they also offer some accessories already in their online store, like additional drive cages, windowed side panels, and the like. But those are things that you would get already with the Pro version anyway. Wouldn't have minded seeing some more unique accessories, like a PWM fan splitter, or better yet, controller, or some sound dampening material that's custom made for the case, but who knows what's to come in the future. So thanks for watching, and let us know if you guys think this is the Master Case, or if you don't, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then you can click over here for more videos, over here to tweet at us, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this from NCIX.